KCM, as it did for Tarek Mack.
All right, next game, we are stepping in to Bronze League. It's sgnurf versus JYATY.
Yeah, we did it. All right, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, well, there is a little bit of a storyline to this one that's probably worth talking about. Bronze is not quite settled, nonetheless. Yeah,
Bronze is in a pretty crazy situation right now, actually.
Yeah, 3 people in running for the finals. Basically, nonetheless is there, 13 points already and just 1 loss, 6 match wins. That's going to be hard to beat. And JYATY is in pole position for that second spot, but has not closed it out yet. Catnip is on JYATY's heels, especially because they played recently, and Catnip got the win, splitting their season series, keeping her finals hopes alive. JYATY is still in the position, though, where he controls his own destiny. A couple wins here around the end, and he can close Catnip out. It's one of those situations where Catnip needs to keep winning, and JYATY needs to keep losing. And if JYATY wins tonight, they'll be in a position where any win or any Catnip loss will give them a spot in the finals. So JYATY can get one step closer and really get themselves on the verge of the Bronze Championship with a win here.
Not only that, but sgnurf is in a bit of a difficult situation, coming in tied for pretty close to the bottom, I think, with only 5 points on the season so far. So a win here could be what he needs to get himself out of the hazard zone.
Yeah, C-Bot is going to be probably an automatic forfeit as basically MIA at this point. So the second spot in the hazard match is going to go to either Arturiax or sgnurf. And Nerf, basically like you said, tied, but with a game in hand, I believe, too. Or rather, Arturiax has a game in hand, too. So really, really needs to try to get a point here tonight.
Big game for both players. Hummus, hit us up with those picks and bans.
Let's do the picks and the bans. Let's see. Starting out, JYATY goes ahead and bans the Balcony any 2 of 3, and sgnurf bans Terrace any 3 of 5. Those are really interesting bans. I don't think they're very surprising. Balcony, people kind of love it or hate it, and Terrace, definitely the newest map in the whole shebang now. So people aren't really sure what to make.
I think banning Terrace sometimes is almost just I'm not really sure what to ban, so maybe I'll just ban this. JYATY banning Balcony makes a little bit of sense. Nerf did pick it against him back in week 5, although it was just the single pick at the end of the draft.
Yep. Let's see. JYATY's double pick is going to be, man after my own heart, High Rise any 3 of 5. sgnurf's double pick is going to be Courtyard any 4 of 7. JYATY's single pick is going to be Library any 5 of 8. And finally, we're finishing off at the pub for a nice drink, or at least 4 drinks out of 7.
So today, High Rise is your favorite. Maybe last week it would have been Pub, but today it's High Rise, right? That's the one you like.
See, here's the thing. Pub is my favorite map, but 3 of 5 is my favorite mission layout.
Well, so JYATY agrees with you. This draft is almost identical to the one they had in week 5. JYATY doubled High Rise, Nerf doubled Courtyard, JYATY picked Library. Last time Nerf picked Balcony, as I mentioned, but because it's banned this time, picks Pub instead. Otherwise, it's pretty much the exact same mission setup they had in week 5.
Cool. Shall we get into the actual showdown? I think we should.
We should.
Let us do exactly that, starting things out with JYATY on the Sniper and sgnurf on the Spy in any 3 of 5 High Rise. Mission layout. Available missions are Bug, Contact, Inspect, Flirt, and Fingerprint. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
You can make not terrible arguments to get other mission setups here for 3-5, but this is standard. It's standard because it makes it relatively easy to complete if you want to, and because it gives you opportunities to frame.
Absolutely.
But keeps you honest with the bug, just a little bit. When you see a deviation... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that this is a map layout with any 3 of 5 that you can definitely take your time, so it takes quite a bit to wind up behind on the clock.
Yeah, if you run out of time, it's really on you for the most part, or you just have a very, very unquiet... I will say the only time you see a deviation from this mission setup, unless someone's being really cheeky, they'll swap in Purloin maybe instead of Bug. That's about it.
Statue to statue goes sgnurf right off the top of the game, so finishing up the inspects and doing it early.
And doing it with 2 visits.
Gonna make him very suspicious.
Yeah, necessarily
Another
so.
statue visit.
Leaning into the suspicion. Look, you're not going to get away with things on high rise unless it's like a perfect bug or something. And look, it works.
Oh, and it works brilliantly. Takes the neutral light for the extra statue visit.
Who would waste all that time? After all, who would go when their inspects are already done? What's interesting to me, though, is not just the decision, but to learn that JYATY is not using the highlights to just track a thing. They're using it as general suspicion. On the other hand, this is a small enough party on 3-5 here on high rise that even without the highlights, you can still just remember, usually.
Yeah.
You may not be able to remember all the fingerprints easily without highlights and all the statue visits, who could it be BB'd, but you can remember a lot of it.
Well, back into highlight now as we pick up our first flirt. A nice close screen for 51%. Minute and 25 left on the clock. So remember what I said about it taking a lot to be behind the clock? Or we're maybe a little bit behind the clock.
Just a little bit. You get that green flirt and suddenly you have tons of options, though. But look at how whittled down this party is. JYATY correctly ruling people out. Obviously not hard low lights, but just deciding I don't think these people could have done it. And just kind of gonna bank on some of those early statue visitors, although I think Irish got a highlight for something else, if I recall correctly.
There's, oh, hits the 2 flirt on the green test. Safety is off. Doesn't take the shot, but sgnurf is in a very difficult situation here.
So here's the question. Is JYATY actually worried about a bug, or are they just so certain they've got this figured out? Because otherwise, you really don't need to be thinking about shooting yet. You're either afraid of a silent. Either you wait for the BB or you're afraid of a silent game. A silent game means either a fingerprint, and I don't see how Nerf could have possibly fingerprinted, and I don't think JYATY could possibly credit 2 fingerprints without seeing anything. Maybe you're worried about the bug. That's about it. But I just don't think Nerf was really near the ambassador much.
Oh, this contact is going to be death for sure.
Yeah, I don't see how they win this. Although it's nice that they're next to Smallman. That gives them a tiny little glimmer of hope.
And Smallman was at the end of a talk animation. There's the pickup. Oh, is Smallman going to take the bullet? It's not going to be sgnurf either way. There's the mission win. And somehow, because Smallman was talking during the BB and we hit the green test, sgnurf stays alive for the win.
But why the hesitation? The BB goes off at 11 seconds. If you think it's Smallman, go. It looks very much like JYATY is waiting for overtime to confirm the shot, which is normally a very prudent thing to do. But you can't do it with 11 seconds, obviously. I guess the assumption is maybe they're going to pick up this briefcase or something. I don't know, right? Because the briefcase is nearby, clearly waiting for another thing. But what would it be?
I have no idea. But it winds up working out for sgnurf, as now suddenly JYATY is put himself in a bit of an odd situation, stepping into the spy side of high rise, any 3 of 5. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And giving up a spy win on high rise, not as bad as in some other scenarios. Definitely something you can come back from.
Giving up one in that fashion, though, has to hurt.
Yeah, clearly was all over Nerf before the banana bread even went off. Nerf saves themselves by banana breading next to basically, apparently, the only other major suspect.
Just as a point of order, it should be noted that JYATY has cut inspects and added in purple.
Yes, excellent point.
Which is exactly why orange sari there at center statues isn't suspicious.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I should have mentioned before that sometimes people will cut out inspects entirely. I think it's a pretty odd decision because it's just such an easy thing for the spy to track for framing purposes. Whereas, sometimes it can be harder as a spy to track fingerprints and keep all the AIs who've done it in mind. Because this is what happens instead. Look at that. JYATY gets a highlight for a fingerprint because there's no inspects. So now, fingerprint takes on an outsized importance.
Indeed. Oh, that's not a good return.
But it's a good bug, maybe.
And 2 people step into the green bookcase, so we're not able to pick up that second fingerprint that we wanted so early, but we did, in fact, get the bug off.
Yeah, that's very much worth it, and I don't really see much indication that Nerf saw it. We're going to know as soon as we get some kind of banana bread, though, if they did and they're waiting. I don't think so, though. I think that might have been clean.
And we got a green close flirt to boot. This is looking pretty strong for JYATY.
That bug was pretty good. I played it back really quickly, and unless you were looking right then, the arm sort of disappears into the amba. Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And boy, even if you went for the fingerprint, even if you were kind of clumsy about it, are they really going to shoot for a silent game?
This is very true. Well, we'll see what else the Ambassador touches. He's currently got his hands on the blue books.
And I think
Second flirt, also a green, so that's a mission complete right there. And if we just step into blue books right here and now, well the Ambassador hasn't put the thing back yet, so we have to wait a little bit.
And I forget, is it still hot on green? Even if it's a difficult, that might be worth the trouble. Okay.
It's not. 2 people have been there.
Okay.
Steps into green and takes a bullet immediately, though.
Now look at this. Collides with the Ambassador after the bug has already taken. I don't know if that was why, but that is a big unforced error. Look at this. The Ambassador is at windows, and JYATY decides to leave right when the Ambassador leaves. And it looks like a bug, possibly.
Yeah.
When the bug is already done. I don't know if that was it, but that is just, you just can't do that.
Yeah, that looks like it could very easily be a bug, and there's no reason to shoot him at green bookcase, so that must have been what the bullet was for.
That is all downside. And this is not the kind of scenario, I mean, you look at it again, the Ambassador leaves a good half second before. It's like JYATY made up their mind to do it in a second and didn't change their mind when they saw the Ambassador moving. But the Ambassador was at windows. It was so obvious that there was a very good chance they were going to cut across there. Why not wait until you have an open lane?
Man, and that's 2 bad losses for JYATY, and suddenly sgnurf is in a much better position than he probably has any right to be. Why do we have 2 players with such difficult names today?
We need to get some more vowels in there, maybe not, and not just Y's. Come on. Ugh.
All right. Well, sgnurf this looks like you might be able to dodge away from that hazard match if he's able to keep this up with JYATY on the sniper. Let's see how this goes in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
So there really are 2 possibilities in that last game. Either he thought he saw a bug there at the end, which seems like the most straightforward interpretation, or he actually was wrong like I was about the green shelf and was worried there might still be a fingerprint on it and shot then. That seems way less likely to me. It really seems like he basically effectively bugged twice and got shot for the second one, even though the first one took.
Yeah. Slight distance on this first flirt brings up to 33% on the white test, which is just fine. Ambassador's in a very buggable position, and here we go, but it doesn't take!
Oh, goodness.
Just a little bit, just a split second too late on that right click. And now as we step into the statue for the fingerprint, that's gonna hurt for sgnurf because that was clean.
Yeah, not seen for it, I don't think, so it's not really a big problem, just a missed opportunity.
Nobody came for this briefcase while we were at that statue, so I guess we're done with the fingerprint now. I guess that happened. It's a good situation for sgnurf so far. That's a completion already. In conversation with a double agent at this point, but there are a few people out of conversation. Here's the white contact. Should let off, I think, 2 lowlights, one of which was highlight. I think there's another one available, but JYATY hasn't picked it up.
Yeah, zoomed in for the whole thing, so it just gets the 2 sure ones, but that's pretty good.
Oh, there we go. There's Duke getting low lit.
Wow.
And here's the next flirt coming off. We're at 50%. 5-0 off a very distant flirt with the white test, so we are going to need a close green for a 3 flirt.
And I think sgnurf is going to be okay. What?
There was safety off on sgnurf for a second there.
Yeah. Maybe thinking about it, but here's the thing. If you've already got them down for the fingerprint, have you really been watching them so close that you're positive they're not done with the flirt? That's the weird thing.
Yeah.
I mean, normally at this point in the game, unless you've been watching someone very, very close, you have credited flirt, generally speaking.
Indeed.
So if they're not shot yet, why would they be shot?
I like this position in conversation. I would have
Yes.
liked him to. Oh, but this works perfectly. Leaves the spot open for the second target to step in.
Oh,
and
boy.
It does, but it's not a green test. I don't know if we can survive another flirt.
That's rough. That's what they needed. They needed the seduction target to come to them. That was the one break that they needed, and they had to hit the green there.
But Smallman takes the bullet.
Wow.
Smallman takes the bullet, and now sgnurf is up by 3.
That's insane. That's crazy. What way to come out of the gate there for Nerf. And all 3 of these games, by the way, you might have noticed turning on tiny little things. That's high rise for you, man. High rise turns on tiny things almost every time.
Man, this has been an incredible match so far. We're only 3 games in. sgnurf, probably the underdog going in this one, comes out to a flying start, and JYATY needs to find something here on the spy side of high rise, any 3 of 5. We are back to the standard setup of bug, contact, inspect, seduce, and fingerprint. Let's see what JYATY can make of it. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Standard mission setup, right back to the life.
In range for bug here. Got a lot of cover. But it's being watched very carefully.
Yeah, and he's going to get tired and get out of there pretty soon.
And our cover ran away from us.
No, stay, don't go.
There's the bug! It takes!
I don't think it was seen. I don't think that was seen.
Either. Oh man! JYATY is in there. There's the contact coming off. 3 minutes to play. Already 2 completions. This is fast.
Go to center statues. Go to center statues right now, because here's the thing. I mentioned earlier you credit flirt. You don't credit flirt at 240 on high rise. They're not going to want to shoot right away. If they didn't see that bug, you go to center statues and you win.
No, JYATY's just going to take his time and get the flirt. He feels like he's got this game in hand right now, and he does. So he doesn't see any reason to risk it on something suspicious. 3 flirts is not something anybody's going to shoot for by itself.
Probably not, but that white, I love the idea of pressing the advantage there. It'd be such a punch in the face, and if you're JYATY, you need to mix it up. You're at the point now where the deficit's getting big enough. I'm not going to say you have to tilt your opponent exactly, but you have to make a statement for sure.
I completely agree. I think hitting center statues and taking it fast is the right play.
But I get it. Yeah, I definitely get that.
It's a safe play.
I agree. I agree.
SpyParty is one of those games that makes you want to take the safe play so badly.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it's the kind of thing that this play makes more sense in the first game or the second. I think it's a little more justified to go for the risk up down 3-0 because of that. But I can't really argue with either one, and I still think it's going to work out.
Agreed. I agree. No highlight. Minute and 20 on the clock. 2 flirts done and 2 completions. If JYATY loses this game, I will be astounded.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the selection to get into a less suspicious position.
That was bad. He walked by the ambassador with a drink in his left hand and his right hand, the bug hand, free at the ambassador's side. You don't want to be anywhere near the ambassador. There's just no reason to do that.
Completely agree. But now we step into the bookcase, get the flirt during the sip, and that is a very nice looking spy win for JYATY.
Wow.
Picks up the difficult fingerprint on the way out as well.
Oh, just for good measure.
Just for good measure.
That's the book I write.
Mm-hmm.
So, JYATY gets himself on the board. sgnurf still up in the set, though, as we step into Courtyard, which is the exact opposite of the Great Equalizer because it always comes out equal. in
Yep.
3, 2, 1, playing it.
The most egalitarian spy party map, for sure. And remember, if you're JYATY here, you're really just a spy win away, as long as you can hold serve here. So it's not too bad. That was a big, big win.
Remember back when we thought Courtyard any 4 of 6 was balanced?
Oh, we were so young and naive.
Picks up the first flirt at the statues for 47% on the green test and a pair of inspect and no highlight.
Huh. Yeah, JYATY's highlighted strategy is, let's say, less than standard sometimes.
Very interesting stuff coming out of him. It should be fun to watch. He is in conversation with the double agent.
Remember, we talked earlier, I mentioned using highlights for general suspicion and not specifically for statue visits on high rise. You're sort of seeing the same basic thing here.
Very full conversations. I'm surprised he hasn't hit that right click yet.
Gotta do it.
Banana bread.
There it is. Perfect banana bread. Green test on the contact. I don't think that lit off a single low light. Picks up
Just sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, just sorry. And Papa Danger wasn't in with an SDA, but did bail, which is always a nice thing when one of the AIs leaves right after your banana bread. You always like that.
It is rare to get a contact of that caliber on this map. Picks up the second flirt up to 87%. White test Purwin though.
There it is. The guest list, and now we wait for the execution.
Here's the thing. He's not certain. It's just a highlight. It's probably down to 2, but all we need is a flirt.
The question
One
is,
flirt.
who's he got it down with? You're right. It's late enough in the game that he might still get away with this. But I think he's more suspicious than that. It might just take an action. It might just take any action.
This is really tight, but it's still doable. Seduction target has stepped away into an empty conversation. We're stepping into windows to wait to see what she does.
Remember, he hasn't done a single thing since that purloin. Not even a talk. So we don't actually know yet if JYATY's waiting for something. But his camera movement sure implies that he's staring him down.
Bit of a distance, moment of truth.
Big
Here's
moment
the
coming up.
flirt. It wasn't too fast. There was a bit of a delay there. It looks like he's
thinking
about it. He turns away. I think JYATY found the win here. Sorry, I think sgnurf found the win here.
Yeah.
And indeed he does. Somehow gets away with the white purloin.
Wow.
My God.
Yeah, so the purloin, look, white purloin is often death, but here's the thing. If you do it near the end, if you don't have to go to statues afterwards, if you don't have to banana bread afterwards, it's a whole different ballgame. If they don't catch it totally clean, they're in a big dilemma.
Wow. I think if he's highlight for the statues at the beginning of that, maybe he doesn't get away with that.
Yeah.
That was so close to a shot anyway, though.
Yeah, almost a very impressive shot, I think. But it really, at that point, it's just about controlling that list fade. You know, making sure it's either green or white. If it's green, of course, you still might not have it, but at least you can rule out that one person, which can be a big deal. In this case, the mere fact that it was almost the last mission done is what made it viable.
Man, sgnurf once again coming in as the underdog here. Jumps out to a 3-1 lead and then breaks serve on Courtyard. Let's see if JYATY can answer back in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, running out of margin here is JYATY. Now you're at the point, I'm not going to say must win. I hate when people say must win about a game you just really, really like to win. Must win means must win. But short of must win, there are so few ways for JYATY to win this match without winning this spy game.
Early green purloin at statues, the same statue pad as the seduction target, which AIs will do, just not quite for that long, but does pick him up 51% on the flirt.
And, you know, that normally you'd say an early green flirt like that, green flirt as your first move, you're in pretty good shape, but it took a while.
This is very true. Second flirt comes off, brings it up to 80%. So anything but a really terrible flirt will finish up that mission at this point. 2 minutes left to play. We are in conversation with the double agent, and the conversations are pretty full.
Yeah, pretty good time. I think you want to do it
Banana
before
bread.
that double agent decides to take a walk.
Well, there it goes. Green contact lets off 2 low lights, but one of them is a statue highlight and the other one's small number.
Yeah, that's significant. And I think what the statue highlight is that Morgan too.
Yeah, it was.
Your two biggest bug candidates are both low right now.
Morgan is less so. He's not a terrifying bug, but he's still a relatively good one. There's the last flirt coming off for the second mission completion with 1 minute and 15 left on the clock.
And tell me if this looks familiar. You look at the clock, you look at the missions.
Oh! Did he get it? No.
They took, but highlight for it.
It's just a highlight. It's just a highlight as he steps into statues. This is going to be it. If sgnurf doesn't take this shot right here and now, JYATY wins this game.
Sometimes the sniper has a very good sense of timing and says, you know what, I got a full 7 or 8 seconds till the inspects are done, but if they haven't shot yet, nope, there's no way they're just confident in their timing.
That was just a clean bug, and JYATY gets back on the board, answering back on the spy side of Courtyard.
Well, let's clarify. Clean in the sense that they got away with it, but it's pretty brazen otherwise. Nothing's covering for it, not even a fake.
Yeah.
Just charged ahead. It's not so much bugging the ambassador as running up to them and shoving them in the face and sticking the bug to their forehead. Good lord.
It was a bad path, but it was a basically invisible bug.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a bug path, though. People shooting for bug paths. What is that? No arm visible. And it's just so audacious and weird that it's hard to credit a bug there.
All right.
Counterintuitive, to say the least.
Trading spy wins on Courtyard. A very unusual situation, but JYATY has kept himself in this as he steps into the sniper side of things. sgnurf on the spy in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And it's crazy to think that JYATY actually needs another one of those to even up.
Yeah.
Even if they hold serve here.
Immediate white purloin. What?
Nope.
No, there's no way. This is death, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe you'll wait for confirmation, maybe you won't.
No, that's just a bullet. That's just a bullet.
White purloins are never good, but they're way, way worse at the very beginning of the game.
JYATY back within 1 after the very early white purloin. Not the start you're looking for as sgnurf, but you still have a lead. Let's see if you can hold on to it on the sniper side of Courtyard. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And here's your chance. Here's your chance to even up. And immediately dumped at statues.
All right. Well.
Go with it.
Picks up those inspects. Not going for any swap shenaniganry. Wrote statue highlight. Here we go. Double agent is in the conversation, as well as a good position for the flirt. Picking up the flirt first with a green test up to 51%. And now the ambassador comes to say hi.
4 early highlights. This could be rough.
Yeah. That's not bad for JYATY.
Now, whether or not the banana bread knocks some of them out is going to be a big deal. This looks like a pretty good time in a second here, especially if Duke gets in. If Duke gets in, you got a banana bread right here. I'd do it anyway. 1 person out?
No, it just bails on it. That seems so perfect.
I don't think I'm a little worried that JYATY was actually not paying enough attention to the party there. Then
yeah,
they clearly just focused on that flirt.
I agree. There's the next flirt coming off. It's a close white, brings us up to 85%.
2 more statue visitors. Oh my goodness.
We could so easily have had that contact by now, but look at all of these statues.
What are there, 7 visitors now? I think there's been.
Most of this party is highlit. This is great for JYATY.
Yeah, this is like bolding every word in a sentence so none of them stand out. I don't think that was seen either.
I don't think it was. I think JYATY may have just bought himself another spy win there.
I mean, how are you supposed to watch them when they're like this? The party is radioactive. It's glowing.
This is crazy.
Like I said, it's like bolding every word in a sentence. Nothing stands out anymore.
All right.
You get a highlight, and you get a highlight. Everybody's a spy.
Across from the seduction target, we get our last flirtation. 50 seconds left to play. All we need is this contact, and we're done.
My
Look
God.
at how many highlights there are.
I understand the highlight strategy on Courtyard. I think it's logical, but when you get that many, you got to do something. You've just got to do
2 out
something.
of conversation, both highlight. Who cares at this point?
Doesn't
It's
matter.
mission countdown. There's no way a shot's coming off of here, and JYATY ties the setup on Courtyard with 2 spy wins.
Out go the lights. Good night, Laura. It's over. Comes all the way back, and we're tied.
Oh man.
Whew. So I'm a big believer in the idea that even though it's boring to highlight for statues sometimes, I sympathize with some of the higher level players who, bemoan that practice. I think that's true as a rote strategy. I don't think it should happen on every map, in every circumstance. I think it makes a lot of sense on Courtyard, except when you get a weird game like that. You'll get it 1 out of every 100 games maybe. When you have that many highlights, for any reason, you need to switch it up. You just have to. No matter how weird it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And now we're all tied up as we step into the library. And sgnurf is going to get the first crack at it on the spy side of things. JYATY on the comeback, just tied things up on Courtyard on the sniper side here, looking to take the lead in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And at this point, I don't like to attribute things to nerves, but if nerves are a factor, giving up that kind of lead early on, it can be a thing. Especially,
JYATY,
Banana bread.
JYATY has momentum now. The contact fairly early on. Gets low lit for the split. Gets the banana split and is low lit.
It's funny. Taft was entering the conversation and Queen was leaving. Taft got the highlight and Nerf got the low light. It was backwards.
Oh man. Time ad comes off. sgnurf probably thinks he's highlight at this point.
Right. Well, when you split, you definitely should have at least the expectation, especially on a map like Library, that you might get low lit. So here's the thing. I would love the time ad because the time ad might be a test. It might be a low-risk way to see if you're a huge suspect or not. Time ads are like that sometimes. They're a good way to dip your toe in that water. And if you get away with it, then you just rush missions. This is where being in the habit of finishing missions helps you, because when you get low lit, that's the only thing that's going to stop you is you.
I would have very much liked that flirt to be a little bit closer, as is it got us up to 45%. Bug attempt as we were basically inside the ambassador walking together, but that didn't take. sgnurf is in a very good position here, but doesn't know it.
Well, we don't know if he knows it, that's for sure. Might know it. Probably isn't certain of it, for sure. But he's moving around a lot, which is a good sign that they're not being timid about this.
Oh, that was a weird little not in a pad moment, but does get a bug out of it.
Completely off screen. Completely off screen.
sgnurf must feel like this is an incredibly weird, unfortunate game for him so far, but he's low lit. He's in the clear.
Yeah, that bug wasn't even visible if he was high lit. It wasn't seen at all, but with low lit, no chance. Just gotta make steady mission progress. At this point, the things you need to avoid are really obvious purloins, so that even a low light will get shot, really obvious swaps, really obvious microfilms.
ST just bailed on him.
Yeah. At this point, you want to seduce, inspect, and then at that point, you can actually do something pretty suspicious as a last mission as a low light.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you really need to get that flirt done. Get in here, seduction target. I summon you.
There's the purloin. It was a white test. There's the green flirt and the shot for the white purloin.
What did I say? There it is. It's one of the few things that can get you easily shot as a low light, especially on Library, is a white purloin. I think it's a really bad decision. Respectfully. So Nerf has done some pretty good things this match, but I think trying the purloin at all is probably a bad decision at that point. And it's definitely a bad decision to do it before the final mission.
sgnurf had that game locked up.
Banana bread.
But unfortunately, the passcode was password.
Yeah, that's not good. Broken right in, got hacked.
Oh man, that gives JYATY the lead, and that's gonna hurt for sgnurf. JYATY has so much momentum. sgnurf needs to shut it down if he wants a chance at this right here and now. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That's rough. That's a minor tough, at least.
Keep in mind, this is JYATY fighting for a spot in the top 2, and sgnurf fighting to get out of hazard.
I mentioned earlier nerves, maybe blowing that early lead could mess with you. That's probably particularly true if you go into a match thinking of yourself as the under two. I think that could be part of it. Because there's this sort of feeling of I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, right?
Yeah.
When are they going to push back? This is the person, near the top of the division. And so then when it happens, there's this fatalism can kind of set in.
Slow start from JYATY, who've got that 51% flirt, but not a whole lot else off the top. Stepping into statues here, looking for a fingerprint and a pair of inspects. An early fingerprint like this can be extraordinarily beneficial moving forward. It just gives you a lot more options moving into the end game.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of getting that in the first minute or so on library. You're going to get many opportunities to get almost untrackable fingerprints here eventually, especially if you want to hit a difficult. That's basically impossible. So getting one early, big deal.
Next flirt, white test, 83%. No completions yet, but lots and lots of progress.
Yeah,
we conversation with the double agent here. Lots of people in conversation as well, so a fairly good time for a contact.
We talk about this all the time. You like to get missions done so that you can plan more clearly around what's going to happen next, but technically speaking, the absolute best spy games, the platonic ideal of a spy game, probably has partial mission progress across several different missions that all start to fall at the end.
Indeed. Here's the contact coming off. There it is. Let's off at the very least Alice as a low light, but hasn't been picked up. Oh, that's just a shot!
Oh boy. That's not what I was expecting.
Oh man.
I'm really not sure what he thought he saw there.
Banana bread.
Yeah, I don't see it. Just a jumpy shot, really.
sgnurf?
No hardtail showing, and a minute 50 left.
sgnurf goes up 3-0, and then JYATY fights back to 6-4.
Wow. Now I'm looking at the replay a little bit here. I guess it looks like he's worried about Queen bugging at Windows at around 3 minutes, just literally sticking halfway out of the ambassador. That's about it. So, but still, like, what else is there? Had Queen even been to statues?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that's a really premature shot.
I would agree. But now, the situation we're in is even with such a good start for sgnurf, he now has 2 match points against him, fighting for a draw. JYATY needs one of these wins on pub any 4 of 7 to take the match. Let's see how this starts in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, if you're keeping track, that is 5 straight wins for JYATY after falling behind.
Wow.
After falling behind 4 to 1. 4 to 1, and then 5 straight losses. 2 on Courtyard, 2 on Library. 3 on Courtyard, 2 on Library.
Early time ad for sgnurf. Gets highlight for it. That's bad. That's real bad. It's real bad.
It's real bad. JYATY, by the way, after losing that first high-rise game of Spy, has won 4 straight Spy games.
Oh boy,
4 in a row.
that's bad.
That's incredibly bad. 4 is a lot of. 4 is a decent number of wins in a match. 4 spy games in a whole set is probably going to win you it. 4 in a row is absurd.
Banana bread.
Contact comes off. Pretty good contact considering.
Yeah,
Lots
so there's
of people in conversation.
3 hard lowlights, but here's the thing: 4 people in a non-SDA conversation. So pretty good chunk of the party could not have done a reel there. This is actually a kind of situation where I would think about mixing up my highlights and just highlight people who could have reeled there, because I think it's only 5 or 6 people.
That's true. sgnurf gets neutral light as he goes in for the delegate, though, so that could be something.
And those 4 people I mentioned,
A little bit moved to work.
the 4 I mentioned on the far left that couldn't have done the real BB, none of them have moved since. They are just hanging out there. You can almost discount them. If JYATY wants to get a little behavioralist and start low-lighting those people, he absolutely could.
This is the first flirt. It looks like he went for 2 others thinking he could get a flirt from across the window, but neither of them happened because you can't get a flirt from there. But this one did come off, and it's 51%.
By the way, low-lit queen and twin there, probably for exactly the reason I mentioned. 2 of the people in that far conversation just hadn't done anything, and look at how narrowed down the party is now based on that lack of activity. The AIs, 4 of them in that corner, just stayed there for over a minute and would have had to have faked. There's a risk with those lowlights, but not a big one.
2 minutes left to play. sgnurf doesn't even attempt to delegate. He steps over to statue. Already highlight, picks up the inspect. JYATY is staring down, looking for a swap.
And there it is.
And just takes the shot.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's almost like a 3-5 shot,
Yeah.
right? Because I guess at that point they're just worried, discrediting something, and just so on to them. So few people could have been done. So few people could have done the banana bread. The party just not moving very much. And when there's nothing else to watch, guess who ends up moving around the most? It's usually the spy.
And that's the set. It's a 3-0 start for sgnurf.
Yep.
Then JYATY takes one, sgnurf takes one, and JYATY wins all the rest.
6 in a row, yeah. 6 in a row.
You don't come back from that.
No, you don't. And that puts JYATY. I already mentioned that JYATY controlled their own fate. Obviously, that's still the case. JYATY, with a win in Week 10 against Arturiax, is in the finals in bronze. If JYATY loses, Catnip has an opening. Catnip would need to win to take that final spot, but guess who Catnip has to play? Nandalas. 6-1-1 Nandalas.
Oh boy.
Yeah, not easy. Who beat Catnip in Week 5, 7-1. So not a close match either. Catnip has been a little better down the stretch, beating JYATY in Week 6, tying Nerf in Week 7, winning in Week 9. So Catnip's gotten stronger as the season's gone on, but that's a pretty high road there. JYATY needs to lose, and Catnip needs to beat the number 1 player in the division just to get into the finals.
Yeah. Scary situation.